group. Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Bartiromo. Welcome to Sunday Morning Futures. Today, we are exclusive with Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's campaign manager, about the unveiling of his economic plan tomorrow in Detroit and the Trump strategy for the weeks to come. Plus, new poll numbers revealing Hillary Clinton is still struggling with trust issues with less than 3 months to go until the general election. Our panel today discusses whether this will ultimately doom her in November. Also, what is next following the report that the U.S. allegedly paid $400 million to Iran for the release of 4 hostages? Was it ransom? We will talk with the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee live right now as we look ahead on Sunday Morning Futures. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump set to unveil his economic plan tomorrow in one of the cities struggling the most when it comes to creating jobs. Trump will lay out his policies in Detroit as he continues to weather several controversies looming over his campaign. Joining me right now is Paul Manafort, Trump's national campaign manager. Mr. Manafort, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maria.
Look, it's no secret that it has been a tough week for the campaign, from the back and forth with the Khan family to discussion about Donald Trump being unable to stick to message. Are you going to be able to turn this around?
Look, the campaign is just beginning, and we're coming out of the Democratic convention where the media, for the most part, was trying to push a Democratic narrative which is not reflective of what's going on in this country and is not reflective of the solutions that the country needs to turn it around. The campaign is a 3-month campaign. We're at the beginning. Starting Monday, we're going to be announcing our economic plan. When we do that, we're comfortable that we can get the agenda and the narrative of the campaign back on where it belongs, which is comparing the tepid economy under Obama and Clinton versus the kind of growth economy that Mr. Trump wants to build.
Yeah, and we know that Mr. Trump has said that he wants to have a 15% business tax, for example, which obviously is way down from what we're seeing in the corporate tax right now. Hillary Clinton says she wants to raise taxes. Can he deliver this message and actually make it resonate with voters?
Well, we're very confident that we can. First of all, his speech at the convention laid out a vision. You know, some people called it dark because they didn't like the fact that he was telling the truth about the state of the economy and the state of America today. But that speech was also a very positive speech because it said we can turn this around. And he laid out the areas in which he said he could turn it around. And one of those areas was his economic plan. Monday, we'll start to talk about that. And at the Democratic convention, what you saw was Hillary Clinton making the same promises over and over again, talking about all the things she's going to do. One of the things she didn't say, which is implicit in it, however, is she's going to raise taxes, lots of taxes on everyone. And that's not going to grow the economy. That's going to make the recovery, which is already the weakest since 1949, even worse. Mr. Trump on Monday will lay out a vision that's a growth economy, economic plan that will focus on not just lowering taxes, but will focus on cutting deregulation, unleashing America's energy capabilities, focusing on things that will help the middle class be able to afford their lifestyle, try and get wages to have real growth as opposed to stagnancy like we see today. So it's a plan that touches all economic spheres of our economy, all demographics, and we think is going to contrast very nicely with Clinton's hidden tax increase plan.
What is Donald Trump saying right now in terms of the messaging? People, I'll tell you, there are a lot of people who initially were not on the Trump train, and then they got on the Trump train. They're disappointed. They're not sure that he can pull this off. They want to support him, but they're disappointed that he seems to be scattered in terms of messaging. Well, how do you deal with that?
I would tell them to just pay attention. It's a 3-month campaign. The issues are very clear. He laid them out in his speech. The speech was very well received. This is a change election. There's only one candidate who was a change candidate. That's Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton is the epitome of the establishment. She's been a part of it for 25 years. All of the things people are fed up with, she was a part of. And she can't get away from that. And in the course of this campaign, that contrast will be made very clear.
Give me the path to victory as you see it. I mean, we know that Donald Trump does well with white men, not so well with Hispanics, not as well with the black community. Hillary Clinton has that. So what is the path to victory, and how are you going to resonate with those important groups that you need to actually take the White House?
Well, look, those important groups, as you call them, have all the same concerns that those people supporting us do. Jobs, the record levels of unemployment in the black community are the highest ever. Poverty's grown in the black community and in the inner cities. The problems haven't been solved in the last 7.5 years. They've gotten worse. Yet the promises are still the same. The Hispanic community, they care about jobs and national security. Hillary Clinton was one of the architects that led to the growth of ISIS, that destabilized the Middle East. And when you talk about soft on Russia, she's the one who established the Reset Russia policy that not only brought Russia into the Middle East, something that American foreign policy under both Democrat and Republican presidents for years tried to keep from happening. She invited them in. And look at the Middle East today. She's the one who encouraged Russia to be more involved in in dealing with Europe, and we have a weakened NATO as a result. She's the one who is, pushed Russia in such a direction that they started to put alliances together with China. Her Russia reset policy has been a disaster for the United States. And if anybody is weak on Putin and who Putin should be, anxious to see as president, it's Hillary Clinton.
And then there's Iran. The administration sent $400 million in cash, cold cash, in an unmarked plane jet to Iran. They would not release the hostages until they saw that money on the jet. The president says it absolutely was not a ransom payment, but it sure looks like it.
Not only does it sure look like it, I was amazed when he said, well, we couldn't get the money to them any other way than to give them cash. What's the easiest monetary currency to disappear into terrorist camps? And
in America, we can't. This is America. We can't get the money in any other way.
It's just, again, they just are blatant in their ability to lie, to try to push their position, and think they can get away with it.
Right.
The American people are smarter than that.
But how should we have confidence? Give us the reason to have confidence that Donald Trump will be better and a stronger leader against these countries who are perhaps trying to hurt us, like in Iran, like a Russia. Why should we have confidence he can do it?
Well, first of all, he's a strong leader. Clinton can say she's a leader, but she was a part of the architecture of the foreign policy that failed. Secondly, he's made it very clear that he's putting America's interests first, not multilateral international organizations. He said we will work with those international organizations, but we work with them on our terms. We're not going to compromise ourselves. Hillary Clinton spent her whole term as for Secretary of State traveling the world, kowtowing to those international organizations and multilateral groups. That's not leadership. And she has, during that whole 4 years, there's not one concrete accomplishment that she had other than to say she's traveled more miles than any Secretary of State.
Was there an emergency meeting on the part of Trump's advisors, you included, that is trying to appeal to him to not speak about things that are not relevant to the election and Hillary Clinton?
No. There was no emergency meeting.
Somebody called it an intervention. Rudy Giuliani said that's the wrong word. But how are you going to focus Donald Trump?
We meet every day. And we deal with what's in the news and what we want to be talking about a week or two from now as well. Donald Trump is focused. He understands, and he, as he's been talking about the last couple of days, he understands the need to establish change versus the establishment, and that's those stakes of the election. He understands the importance of putting out his economic plan so it can be contrasted with Hillary's increased tax plan, and you're going to see that now as we move from the conventions and through the Olympics into the general election. He is very focused. He knows what he needs to do. I am confident that he's going to start doing it, and eventually the media will start having to cover it.
Do you feel like you have the ground game in place, the money that's required, the organization and structure that's required to actually get this done?
In the last 2 months, we've raised over $132 million. Of that, we've got over 1.2 million donors in the last 2 months. The average contribution is $70, so the base of support is broad and deep. We're very confident we have the financial base to take the campaign. We're now starting to spend that money. We have an organization in all 50 states. We have in the battleground states. We are very deep in the ground game that we have. We have our voter identification programs, voter registration programs. These are all being employed right now, deployed right now. So yes, we are very comfortable. We don't need to have thousands of people working to cover up them, because our campaign and our candidate has a clear message. The Clinton campaign needs people because they're trying to hide from their record and obfuscate the reality. We're not. We're trying to expose the reality.
So why do you think the polls have shown Hillary taking a lead just in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I mean,
part
of it is the bounce from her convention and the incredible fawning of the national media on her convention. I mean, I found it ironic that we had 4 people in our rules committee who were disagreeing with the direction of our convention, and our convention was in chaos. The Democratic National Committee had over half of, almost 40% of their delegates in open rebellion, and that wasn't chaotic. It's just absurd.
Yeah, well, that's true. I was at both conventions, and it was incredible to see the Bernie Sanders supporters outside really vocalizing their upset. Paul Manafort, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you so much. We will be watching.
Thank you.
Paul Manafort, Trump's national campaign manager. And Donald Trump finally endorsing some big-name Republicans over the weekend in a play for party unity. What's the impact here? Plus, more fallout from allegations that the U.S. paid Iran $400 million in ransom money for the release of American hostages. What is next? Are there more payments to come? We'll be talking with the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee next, live with that. You can follow me on Twitter, @MariaBartiromo, @SundayFutures. Let us know what you'd like to hear from Representative Ed Royce coming up. Stay with us. We're looking ahead right now on Sunday Morning Futures.